Okay, so as some of you may know, I am an artiste. I work with colors and markers and pencil crayons, and I try to make everything as perfect as possible. Some pieces that I've made have come out really well. And over the years, I've been developing and trying out new stuff to see what works and what doesn't. Because you gotta experiment with your styles sometimes. Sometimes you get really good stuff that makes you go, wow, and I mean wow. That is some pretty good stuff. I'm gonna pat myself on the back. Good job, me. And then you got other times where you look at it and you're like, well,
this is complete garbage.
And today we are going to be talking about the worst art I have ever done. Okay, a couple of rules. 1, no traditional stuff. Yes, I know, but I work better in traditional, and there aren't a lot of traditional pieces where I go, whoops, that looks like ass. 2, I'm excluding early stuff because, well, God, just look at it. No, like, this is when I was first trying to start out, trying to get the hang of digital art. 3, no, Microsoft Paint is not counting. Alright, so we good? We good. Let's dive into some honorable mentions. This isn't going to be like a top 10 list. This is going to be honorable mentions and then just garbage. Absolute garbage. So let's look and see what the hell have I done. Alright, let's start out with this piece. So you may recognize that lovely, most beautiful, most ratty ass looking girl over there in the green and orange. Yeah, I did this as sort of an experimental piece. I wanted to see how well I could replicate pop art, and as you can see, oh dear, let's point out everything wrong. Okay, number 1, the hair waves. The hair waves are absolutely god-awful. Like, ugh. What's going on here? Why is it all on one side? The shading. Oh boy, the shading is terrible. Oh, why is it all on the body? Oh god, look at the backgrounds. It's, oh. In case you can't tell, I was trying to replicate the Beatles pop art with each of us being a different Beatle. I thought Paul McCartney was smoking a joint in his, but it's apparently flowers, so that's why that's there. God, even the bird looks bad. God. Alright, let's move on to the next piece. Alright, number 2. Diamond Floyd photo. Okay, yeah, I was experimenting. I was experimenting with line art and seeing how well colored lines looked, and it does not work with my style very well. You see, my style is very cartoony, and it works better with harsh black lines, so the characters and colors pop out. The only reason that Roger and parts of Nick look better is because their outlines are darker and it makes them pop out more. While as Rick and David, it's all like a kind of a blur and the shading looks very off and it's just, ew, disgusting. Like, can you see Rick's eye? Like, it's all the way up here. What's going on here? Oh, look at the perspective on David's spiky shoulder pads of sharpness. It is gross. I didn't even bother like making the lines lighter. I was just like, screw it, make them black, and just left it at that. At the same time, it was experimental, so I'm not gonna say it's the worst. Alright, number 3, the Corporal Clegg. Good God. I envisioned this in my head after watching the Corporal Clegg music video, and I'm like, yeah, I could draw that. But then when I got down to actually draw it, it's like, oh god, I don't know what I'm doing. I had no idea where I wanted to place things, and it looked bad. I mean, the best thing here is probably David or just a cowering Rick. Even then, Rick doesn't look right. I'm unfunny. Like, look at that spoon! It's horribly tiny. Do I even need to explain? I was considering putting this at the worst, but then I remembered there is one photo that tops them all. So as some of you may know, I enjoy humanized versions of sports logos. I've done some NFL ones, some NHL ones, as you've seen in one of my videos. Now tell me, look at the NHL logos. Pull out that hockey knowledge and tell me, What three logos are these? Doing the Primus cowboy walk from Winona's Big Brown Beaver. Look at this fellow with his red hoodie. If you guessed this one was the Canes, you're right. I based his hairstyle off of the Hurricanes logo. Look at this fellow. Who do you think it is?
It's not Pittsburgh.
It's Boston! You see, he has the little B logo, the golden white stripes, the black. He even has sort of the pissed off look that most Boston fans had after losing that Stanley Cup. Look at this one. Can you tell me who this one is? Yeah, it's the Sharks. If the colors didn't give it away, then the harder, meaner look of the logo would've. Let's try this fellow right here. Who's this? It's the New York Islanders. Like I said, the color palette probably gave it away. Islanders wasn't the easiest one to come up with, so I thought if I can't make a design close to the logo, then I'll just use the colors and it'll make sense. Alright, so now that we got that out of the way, let's move on to the worst photo I have ever created. But before we do that, what's your favorite baseball team? No, don't comment it. Just think of it. Alright? Is it in your mind? If you don't have a favorite baseball team, then just sort of think of a logo. Alright, you ready? Alright. Now tell me very quickly. Can you tell me what one that translates to being a human? Now, some of them are a bit of a dead giveaway. The Athletics over here, green and gold. What about the Pirates? I know you can't really see it because the positioning is so god awful. But yeah, that's Arizona. You can kinda see the Royals with the Kansas City crown. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. How about the Angels? Yeah, that's noticeable. Astros? Well, you got the star and the color palette, so I guess it's okay. The Brewers right here. Yeah, you can tell because it's holding a cup of coffee, and the Browns and the Blues come together. But everything else, can you tell me who this person is? Yeah, it's the New York City Mets. What? Can you point out Atlanta? Who's Atlanta? Can someone point it? Yeah, it's this one. What kind of design's this? Could you tell it's Atlanta? No, you can't. Tell me, between these two, what one is Baltimore and what one is San Francisco? Both with the same color palette. You can't tell, can you? No, you can't. It's so awful. The designs are so awful and cropped off, you can't tell who is who. Alright, let's look at the blue designs. What one's the Miami Marlins? This one? This one? That one? Over there? What one's the Miami Marlins? You can't tell! Their color palettes are similar, yet their designs are so unrecognizable, you can't tell! Would have guessed that this was the LA Dodgers? Yeah, probably not. What about this? Is this the Padres? Yeah, that's the Padres. Great design, huh? Look at all the red characters. What one is the Cincinnati Reds? And what one's the Red Sox? If you guessed this, literally I give Cincinnati the same type of Red Sox that Boston should be wearing. Like, am I insane? Have I lost it? Like, would you guess this pink Hatsune Miku knockoff was the Cincinnati Reds? No! It just looks like a pink Hatsune Miku ripoff. Can you find the Mariners? What one's the Mariners? Did you guess this terrible head in somewhat of a body? Then yeah, you're right. That's the Seattle Mariners. What one's the Washington Nationals? Can you tell what one's the Nats? What one's the Nats? Can you guess? No, you can't, because the Nats is all the way over there screaming at his terrible design. Tell me, where's Cleveland? You can't find Cleveland. Because his design is like Seattle and it's behind two people in which you can't see the body. But unlike Seattle, you can't see his face. So he's even harder to spot. Would have guessed this was Cleveland? I didn't even know what to do for Cleveland, so his design was rushed and he looks like a Florida man. Like, that's the White Sox. Would you believe? Yeah, that is the White Sox. I know. Stunning. Tell me, where's Philly? Yeah, that's Philly, right there. With a hoodie tied around his head and a visor. That is Philly. Alright, now tell me, what one is a more recognizable Philly design for Philly sports? Eagles? Flyers? Or Phillies? You most likely said either the Eagles or the Flyers because their colors stick out, they're easily recognizable, and if you were to compare the logo and the character I made, then yeah, you'd be like, yeah, that's a decent adaptation, at least. But if you were to put this beside the logo, you'd be like, what is going on? It looks terrible. Look at this. This is the Rangers. I just made him a cowboy, nothing else. There's no tier. Well, I guess with the shoulder pads it could be a T. But even then, it looks terrible. Absolutely terrible. There's no shading, so there's no sense of depth except for the fact that people are just all kind of clumpled up in a blob. Look at that. MLB time. What a fucking waste of text. The background is just, ugh. It's so generic and sad that it's just, ugh. It's pathetic. Now granted, I do have some designs I like. I like Oakland's over here as a little tiny magician and with this little magic wand in his eyes and his deformed hand. I like Arizona's. She looks like a snake. Perfect. And I like Los Angeles's hair right here.
The Angels, that is.
I like her hair over here. It's pretty and swirly and kind of fun to draw. The Yankees, yeah, I as much as I hate the team, I like her design. And the Brewers. I like the Brewers. She's a cutie. I would bang. 10 out of 10. Everything else, though, ew. Disgusting.